Սիրելիներ, ողջունում ենք ձեզ Արարատի լանջերից, Խորվիրաբի այս սրբազան վայրից, ուր դեպի երկինք է խոյանում Աստվածամոր ձոնված այս սրբազան տաճարը։ Ողջունում ենք և փառք ենք տալիս Աստծուն, որ այս սրբազան վայրի մեջ մեր հայոց հայրապետը Սուրբ Գրիգոր Լուսավորիչ մնալով երկար տարիներ դուրս եկավ Խորվիրաբից և հայոց հողի վրա Տրթատ արքայի հետ միասին սփռեցին քրիստոնեության լույս։ Այսօր այս ուխտագնացության առիթով մենք ուզում ենք այս սրբազան լեռան լանջից և այս սրբազան վանքի մատույցներից շնորհավորել Տորոնտոյի Սուրբ Երրորդություն Հայաստանյայց առաքելական եկեղեցին, շնորհավորել մեր հավատացյալներին հիմնադրության 95-րդ տարեդարձի առթիվ. My relation with Armenian Church started with my family. My mother, she used to pray every day, every night. And my grandfather, he was a priest, ordained priest. I always wanted to know what are the books that he was reading.
My grandfather would put me in his lap and he would sing the liturgy from beginning to end. And my mother used to say to him, "What are you doing that with that kid? He doesn't understand." He said his ears will be filled with it.
As little boys, the earliest memories I have is serving on the altar with my brothers. It seemed like this whole amazing thing, like being up on the altar, serving, and there was like an excitement. The smell of incense or khung is very nostalgic to me. It's like a peaceful smell. Thinking about my life without Holy Trinity would be like thinking about my life without a huge part of it, like a part that brings life to who I am, or color, to my person or being. A lot of my identity is rooted in the church and the friendships that I've made here and the relationships that I've built and the connections, and I mean, it is who I am.
I would say the first thing that gets me connected, the icon on the altar is the same icon that we had, the Saint Mary and the Jesus Christ. The scent of the church, the candle station in there just gives you, burning on a candle on a Sunday, just flash back home.
When we came to Canada, we didn't have family here, and it was important to find a place that it was like a second home, and I could find my second family here.
I've built on all of the experience of my ancestors, but only if I know the experiences of my ancestors.
It's a very complicated history. The Armenian genocide is a very painful subject. I felt a desire to understand more what was the Armenian genocide all about. Why was it still spoken of in hush-hush terms? Why was it known as the forgotten genocide? Why could I not know more about it?
My father confirmed it. He was a young boy of 5 when the Turkish soldiers came to his village of Geve. He said they entered the town square, sounded the horn, beat the drums, summoned everyone to the village square, and said, "You have 1 hour to pack your belongings in one bag and come back here." And I remember my dad telling me, they took what they could. They took a rug, which is what Armenians slept on the floor. He took a rug. My dad remembers very well that he emptied sacks of grain in the kitchen, on the kitchen floor for the chickens. And they left, and they were put into columns, and they were force marched either south, but definitely east towards the desert of Deir Zor, and where they would be left without food, water, any provisions to perish. When your past is stolen from you, when your family has been killed you have to wonder, what can I do? Who am I? How can I reclaim my past? How could I bring honor to my family after all that happened?
Armenian children who had lost their parents spread all over the world. Some of them from orphanages in Europe and Middle East were transferred to Canada.
First group in 1923 in July, and then in the second group of 50 in 1924. About 90 boys in all.
Canada needed help on their farms. And so a goodly number of boys from the orphanages were brought over to Canada to work on the farms. And they happened here to work in the farms in the Georgetown area.
And I think we have to look on this, the fact that they got the Canadian government to agree to bring 2 boatloads of orphans to Canada was Canada's first foray into humanitarian international work.
When they came to Canada, they had nothing, actually. They barely survived the genocide. And when they were welcomed here, they were also offered somehow, for the pronunciation reason, to change some names. Because like our Armenian names are difficult for local people, Canadian people to pronounce. And one of the boys, he started to cry. He said, "Please don't take our names." They said, "We lost everything, and we don't want to lose our names."
I feel like it was a great blessing for them to have a second chance to start their life, second life here in Canada, in a peaceful country, in a beautiful place. I'm sure there were hardships, but they managed to work, grow, learn.
They worked very hard, actually. They were working in farms. At the same time, before building or buying their first properties, they made sure that they're going to have church.
There were no Armenian churches at that time in Toronto, so they decided to approach the Anglican Church.
And that's where I really want to emphasize again, Anglican Church in downtown Holy Trinity, in Trinity Square. Our brothers and sisters who accepted, who supported us to have our services in that Holy Trinity Church for 30 years. 30 years.
People got married there, children were baptized there, and community grew.
A lot of the children, Armenian children, were sent to neighborhood Anglican churches for Sunday school.
And I can recall people gathering in the kitchen at our home on Don Valley Drive in Toronto, talking about church matters. It was a topic of important conversation among the Georgetown boys and that early group of Armenians in the city.
It was time to have their own church, bigger, and to be able to use it 7 days a week.
I think it was maybe 1952, 51. The idea of having our own church came to fruition. The church opened in 1953.
They had to raise the funds to build the first church on Woodlawn Avenue.
Mom went from door to door in our very Anglo-Saxon, Scottish, Irish, whatever neighborhood, explaining to the neighbors that we were building a church and would they buy some cards to help support. And to the credit of our wonderful neighbors, they all contributed.
He was very proud of his involvement in the parish council, and he was particularly proud of being the one who found the plot of land on which he foresaw that they could build a church. It's in north central Toronto, so it's very easy to get to. North of St. Clair, it was very central. That was the key point.
People held fundraisers, walkathons, bake sales, lunches, galas. They did manage to build this church. The architect was Mr. Takvorhopian, and finally it happened.
It was finished, but it had to be cleaned. And I can remember my mom, my dad, and other families. They all went to clean the church, and it was a labor of love, that it was an honor to do this.
After services, people didn't want to go home. They liked to hang out. So the community was divided. There were those who would hang up on the long staircase and just socialize, and those who would hang out in the entrance to the downstairs where the auditorium was, where the library and bookstore was. And they'd hang around for a long time and just talk to, see their friends. There was no other place to go to meet. It was like a social center.
The Woodlawn Church was not large enough to hold the community, which kept growing. Unfortunately, the main reason of growing the community here was wars and unrest situations back home or wherever the Armenians were. So over the years, there were waves of people coming from Lebanon, from Syria, from Iran, from Iraq, all over, and Armenia, of course. So it was time to build this church.
We definitely needed a new church. There was no question. I mean, the walls were just, bursting with people.
They come to the church because they want to be a part of the community. They want to feel something normal.
Holy Trinity Church here in Scarborough is the second church. And this church was built, it was the collective effort of our community to make sure that they're building not only their present but the future for their children.
Առաքելությունը, որ առաքյալները փոխանցած են մեզի 95 տարիներ շարունակ մեր Սուրբ եկեղեցին այդ տարածած շրջանի մեջ, Տորոնտոյի շրջանին մեջ լի կատարած է։ Իր հետևողներուն համախմբած է իրարու շուրջ եւ ստեղծած է եկեղեցիկ ծուխմը Սուրբ Երրորդություն եկեղեցվո անվան տակ։ 95 տարիներ շարունակ մեր եկեղեցին կուղորդ է մեր ժողովրդին դեպի Աստված։ Ամեն ինչի գլուխը կհանդիսանա մեր շատ սիրելի արժանապատիվ Տեր Զարե ավակ քահանա Զարքարյանը կանադահայոց թեմի փոխարաշնորհը, որ գիտակցության բարձր զգացումով եւ նախանձախնդիր կերպով մեր ժողովրդին կուղորթե դեպի հայեցի նկարագիր, կուղորթե դեպի հոգեվոր դաստիարակություն.
The Holy Trinity Armenian Church has several missions. Obviously, we are here to provide spiritual services to the community. That is very important because lots of people in different stages of life, they need spiritual support. It lifts them up from whatever they're trapped in. But also we're here to provide educational, cultural, humanitarian services.
I think for a lot of the immigrants, it's really tough to settle into Canada.
The church will be the first place where you go to get introduced to the community, that you have the Armenian community within that country.
One of the things that Holy Trinity, in a sense, does for me is that I'm still a part of that family.
It gives you the sense of connection to back home. It's the same church.
Bonds together as Armenians, wherever you go, they have the same culture. They try to adapt to their new country who's hosting them, but still we need a place to practice, to learn, to teach the culture. We have educational institutions like our Saturday school.
Ինչպես գիտենք, շաբաթօրյա դպրոցը Սուրբ Սահակ եւ Սուրբ Մերսոպ ասկային շաբաթօրյա դպրոցը շատ մեծ կապ ունի Սուրբ Երրորդության եկեղեցվո հետ, որովհետև արդեն դպրոցը հիմնված է եկեղեցվո հովանուտակ, դեր հայրներու ուժով եւ մինչեւ այսօր 65 տարիները ավելի է շատ հանգիստ եւ շատ զորավոր քայլերով թեպի արչեւ գերտա։ Դպրոցի հատկանշական գեդերեն մեկը այն է, որ շաբաթօրյա վարժարանը գրնամսել հայկական առաջին դպրոցներեն մեկը եղած է, վարժարանները մեկը եղած է, որ թե արևմտահայերեն եւ թե արևելահայերեն լեզուները նույն ժամանակ կտազավանթվին նույն հարգին տակ։ 8-9 տարի շաբաթօրյա վարժարանը հաջախել է յետք դբրոցը իրենց արիթը գուտա որ միասին երթան Հայաստան եւ մոդիգեն ցանոթանան շոշապեն շնչեն հայկական հողը եւ մշակույթին դարբեր անգյունե դեսնեն այսինքն իրենց սորվածը ոչ թե միան թուղթի վրա գլա կերթան Հայաստան գայցելեն ադի իրենց սորված եկեղեցիները վայրերը գտեսնեն մեր Սուրբ Արարատները, որ իրենք ընդհանրապես միշտ թուղթերու մեջ կդեսնեն կամ վիդեոներով կդեսնեն, արիթը կունենան ավելի մոդիգեն ցանոթանալու ամեն ինչի եւ դեղացիներուն հետ երբ որ շփում կունենան, շատ զորավոր կապ մը կստեղծվի, որ դբրոցի եւ եկեղեցվո մեն ամենակարևոր գեդերեն մեկն է, որ միշտ կապ մը կստեղծե հայրենիքի հետ։
There are two organizations that are functioning under the umbrella of Holy Trinity Armenian Church. They are separate charitable organizations. In 2004, Armenian Family Support Services was established, and they are mainly focused on helping newcomers settling down, finding jobs, home, school for their children. They're vulnerable and they need help. And the second organization, Barev Center, was established in 2017. All the non-religious services that the church provides started their services under the umbrella of Barev Center. So we have our Saturday school, our dance group, we have our youth committee and theater. All that goes under Barev.
I have attended Holy Trinity since I was 7 years old, so we're looking at almost 30 years. But I spent the majority of my time in my Sunday school class, and that's where I learned a lot of my Armenian heritage of the church itself, and really became the foundation of my life as far as I'm concerned.
I knew the importance of Holy Trinity, the importance of the Sunday school program. My beliefs were that, if you distill in an early age certain routines, it can change your path. Olivia has started coming to Sunday school. She says, I want to listen to the music, Mommy. I want to hear the singing. I remember that as a child, going in and to the church and hearing the choir. You felt relaxed, you felt at home, you felt at ease and at peace.
My father had suffered a stroke when I was 26, and that was difficult. The church played a huge role in helping me get through everything with what I was experiencing with him.
When you are connected to a place you trust and love, you feel like it's a safety net for you.
It's hard to imagine the Armenian identity without Christianity or without the church, because it's so deeply rooted in who we are.
Teaching the Armenian language for the Armenians is important because we're only 8 million around the world. We're a small community, and I think that when you consider the genocide and when you consider the fact that so many Armenians marry into the local cultures.
All our masses at the Armenian Holy Trinity Churches and all Armenian churches, they are conducted in Armenian. So this is where you get connected to your language.
One of my goals is to make Armenian kids love the Armenian language, love the Armenian culture, and pass it on somehow to the coming generation, because we are living far, far away from Armenia. So I think my responsibility is to make them feel the warmth of the culture through the school.
So speaking Armenian it's very valuable for us, and being connected to our spiritual life, our church, it's a must.
It is in that firm faith of resurrection the church helps parishioners and the people to overcome the grief and tragedy in general, but especially the grief and tragedy which is related to genocide. And in that sense, in the year 2015, in our mother See of Holy Echmiadzin, with the headquarters of our church canonized all the victims of the genocide, because these people were basically killed and massacred because of their faith, Christian and Armenian identity.
Today, Armenians do so much to help us create a culture of acceptance and inclusion in Ontario. You have built a vibrant community here, and you have kept...
I would just want the church to continue to be a place of life and fruitfulness in the life of the Armenian community, and continue to flourish and be a place where, God willing, my children can come.
So whenever I teach something in Armenian, or even an idea, or even a vision, or about the future to the kids, that makes me feel like I did something good towards my nation, my people, even that I'm miles away from Armenia.
To commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide, we were down at Queen's Park and there were so many people. Instantly, Dad was brought to the front so that he would be able to participate and hear what they had to say. It also speaks a lot to our community, our parish. They saw Dad and people knew what he had gone through, and so they made room.
The church is the mother for Armenians, and like any mother, their experience in parenting expands as their kids grow. Getting older means getting more mature, so you think differently, wiser, start thinking of how you could help the church more.
This place, just like every home, has expenses. There are costs to maintain it. Even if you don't have your home, you need to build a church and a school. So Armenians in Toronto did exactly that. We're very grateful for it, and our job is to continue what they started. It is our collective duty to keep our church and the school as vibrant as it's possible, because more people need those services.
To continue our services, we are embarking on a major renovation project this year, and we would like to have the support of the community, not only with their prayers, but also with their heartfelt donations, to be able to carry out our multidisciplinary services to the community.
Love is about sacrifice. If you would like to see this holy place operating and helping our children, our youth, you have to participate. It's not about how much you're participating. Like, I love to see our kids. They come with little participation. It gives me the joy, because it's not about the amount. It's the amount that comes from your heart. And once they are participating, they feel home.
Whatever people donate, it just doesn't go to our local programs, but also it contributes a lot to our homeland, because no matter where in the world we're connected to our land.
Տենք ու կորտնենք մեր հարակից մարմինները, մեր ծխական խորհուրդը, մեր հավատացյալ ժողովրդին, որ մեր ազգի համար այս դժվարին ժամանակահատվածում ունի այն գիտակցությունը, որ եկեղեցին է, որ կհանդիսանա միավորող, համախմբող այն կառույցը, որի շուրջ հավաքվելով կարելի է հաղթահարել բոլոր դժվարությունները, որ կհառնեն մեր ազգի, մեր ժողովրդի եւ մեր եկեղեցվո առ։
Այս արդիվ պիտի խնդրեմ, որ մենք բոլորս, սիրելիներս, համախմբված, ձեռք-ձեռքի տված, շեն ու պայծառ պահենք մեր սուրբ եկեղեցին եւ շարունակենք մեր սրբազան ծառայությունը եւ մեր աջակցությունը բերելու մեր հույսի եւ լույսի հայրենիքին, Հայաստան աշխարհին։ Թող Աստված իր օրհնության մեջ պահի մեր երկիրը, այն երկիրը, ուր երկնքից իջել է մեր Տեր Հիսուս Քրիստոս եւ հիմնադրել է Մայրաթոր Սուրբ Էջմիածինը։ Թող Մայրաթորի եւ Վեհափար Հայրապետի օրհնությունը տարածվի մեր ժողովրդի զավակների վրա։
Support the Holy Trinity Armenian Church mission.
Support the mission.
Donate today.
Donate
Donate
today.
Please donate.
Donate today.
Support our mission.